Gentleman
I think
yields.
it's 26 seconds.
Mr. Nehls is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Good to see you, Mr. Secretary.
Afternoon.
16 months since East Palestine. Obviously, the NTSB report came out the other day. I've been placing close attention to it as I chair the Rails subcommittee here. And I believe that she produced a very detailed report. And some of her findings, quite honestly, are very disturbing. One of the areas is that post-derailment actions. And when the American people saw this big bloom, this cloud above their city, the decision to vent and burn, and that procedure, according to the report, it appeared that Norfolk Southern made that decision. Apparently, they were able to, I don't want to say convince or get the incident commander to agree with that. The report appears that the NTSB said that Norfolk Southern compromised the integrity of that decision to vent and burn the tank cars by not communicating expertise and dissenting opinions. The justification, according to the report, is polymerization, which is that chemical reaction that could cause the explosion. So a point is that they said we have to do the vent and burn because we feel this thing could blow up. What are your thoughts on that? How would incident commanders allow them to do that when we had dissenting opinions?
One of the most troubling things in that report, I agree, was the finding that the vent and the polymerization that was feared by those who thought that by undertaking that vent and burn action, they were preventing an explosion, might not have actually occurred, meaning that the vent and burn did not have to happen. So certainly, while that will go to different parts of the decision chain than those that our department is directly involved with, we want to closely follow how NTSB's recommendations are taken on board, both in terms of how they apply to a railroad and how they apply to anybody in that incident command.
And I can understand it was in a rural area, first responders, many of them volunteers, driving to incidents in their pickup truck with bunker gear in the back. Maybe I don't want to say the skill set wasn't there, but they just didn't. If a derailment like that would have happened in the city of Houston or Boston or someplace, I don't think you would have burned it. You would have had a massive showing of logistical support with hazmat teams, this and that. But hey, in your testimony, I'm concerned about the railroad crossing elimination program. We know we have about 700 plus deaths a year as it relates to rail. And your testimony says it's improving or eliminating 400 rail crossings. In IJA, it's 500 million. My friend, I don't think that's enough. We need to do more. I mean, if that is a safety issue, we need to do more. What do you think we should do with that program?
If you'd like to propose growing that program,
I
we'd love to work
will.
with you on it.
I will.
We've had our chance to go out to some of the first projects.
We're going to do
funding there. We announced it in North Dakota. The enthusiasm
We're going to do it
in communities is extraordinary, and I think it's so far been very well
How
received.
about the Ask Rail? What do you think about the Ask Rail? The report says, they didn't know what was in the cars. They didn't. The first responders didn't know the chemicals. They didn't know the consist in the cars. But the actual consist was up in the locomotive. But they didn't get it for a couple of hours. So here these first responders are out there trying to figure out what the hell's in these cars, and they didn't have it. Now, the Ask Rail, I think, is a good thing. I think all Class 1s use it, but we have to do something to make sure that we have the connectivity with cell service in these rural areas, because the Ask Rail app will be combat ineffective if we don't have it. One of the colleagues mentioned about the close call reporting system. I support it. I think it's a good idea. How do you think that, quickly, how do you think that will improve safety in our rail industry?
We think it creates one more opportunity to flag safety issues. We're glad to have a handful of participants, but we really believe it ought to be everybody. And
I agree.
Whether that's done by some kind of requirement through Congress or whether we all just continue pushing the Class 1s, I really hope we can get them.
Automated track inspection. Obviously, a lot of technology out there. I don't think a lot of people know about it. How can we, this is the tough stuff, how do we get labor and labor and the railroads together on the same page as it relates to these technologies? ATI is a great thing. I mean, it can do a lot.
I think a lot of the best technologies in the history of our economy
Sure.
have a track record of creating and expanding jobs, even if they change some of the aspects of what those jobs are like. But our posture is that and to be clear, we support and sometimes even ourselves use ATI. We just haven't seen the data that allows us to be confident that you can remove the human factor.
Sure.
We
One
think
quick
it needs
thing.
to be
You
alongside.
support two-man crew?
We do.
Okay. Last one. the tank cars, the DOT 111s, the 105s, 117s. I don't know if everybody understands that, but we want to phase those out, right? The 111s by 2029. I think we can do it quicker. I think we can do it quicker. I would like to move that up, and I'll do everything I can to do that.
That is great news and one of the provisions we're most excited about in the pending bipartisan legislation.
All right, thank you.
The gentleman yields. Ms. Sykes is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you.